I've got the right to talk. I was there when this began.
Right after the release, they fired everybody. This is what's going on. On top of which, in 2000, your average level 1 tech support job paid $25 an hour. In 2009, over at Bolt, I was making a whopping $14 an hour, which, by the way, I'd love to have right now because I'm still unemployed. I say we start anew. I say we march forward as we have today. We march forward to a new future, whatever that future may be. I say we rewrite those rules to serve all of us. Let us write the new rules based on what we know about human beings and what their needs are. Let us write the new rules based on solid science. Let us write the rules that uphold life, dignity, and promote what is good for all the people in the United States.
Globalization has given rise to global revolution.
Involved as well. Who remembers Occupy Piccolo? Who was out there? That's right, an elementary school was occupied by the parents and the students and the teachers. And they said, we're not going to take this, we're not going to be turned around. And with the support of Occupy Chicago, they were able to have their demands met. Who remembers the Sirius occupation? Yeah. That's right, the Sirius Energy Company. The workers decided to occupy their factories. And what happened? We went there with tents and signs and helped create the kind of public spectacle outside the factory that you need to get the media coverage that can put pressure on a boss, like the Sirius bosses. Who remembers the Woodlawn occupation? The mental health movement is fighting a life and death battle. Rob Emanuel has closed 6 of the 12 public mental health clinics in this city. April last year, there were 20 hospitalizations of public mental health clinic consumers. April of this year, there were 40. Ron Emanuel is a murderer. The people who depend on the public clinics have nowhere to turn. But we stood up for them, as we will continue to fight for all the causes in this town. Thank you so much for coming out here and for taking part in this incredible movement.
Ron Emanuel, I am your mayor. I'm simply here to give a voice to the greatest minority in Chicago, the 1%. I just want to highlight some of the things that we've been working on this last year. I came into office and I pushed through a 1% budget that cuts services to all of Chicago's people. And yet I was met with resistance from Occupy. I was bold enough to bring the NATO and G8 to Chicago, and I was met with so much resistance that I lost the G8. I cut half of our mental health clinics from our city's budget, shut them down completely, and Occupy resisted. Now I am embroiled in a battle to win the right of the 1% to privatize our schools, to make money for that minority. And the whole city is resisting. So I just want to ask Occupy Chicago, when will you stop resisting? When will you be moved?
occupy because our government no longer listens to the people that which it's supposed to serve. Our government has been controlled, has been taken over by special interests, by lobbyists, by corporations that found it easier to become the government, to get their way, to pass legislation through organizations such as ALEC and others. I occupy to end wars, so our country stops wars. Most of the problems in the Middle East are because our country is there in the first place. We could take 60% of our discretionary budget goes to military expenditures. That money could be taken, could be given to schools, could be given to health care, could be given to public infrastructure, could be created jobs. And our government is not listening, and so here is Occupy. Here is the anniversary, the first year of probably many yet to come. And I occupy because I believe, and amen.
Happy birthday, Occupy Chicago. I am here because I'm a single parent. Occupy does not limit its membership to a select few. We are all members of an oppressed community called the 99%, and we need to stand up to corporate greed. Corporate greed that forgets about matters of the environment that's deteriorating beneath our feet. I was thinking about a movie called Modern Times with Charlie Chaplin as he worked hard to keep that wheel going around to make the machine work while all his brakes were cut, while he suffered there. We stand up against that kind of oppression. We want unions. We want people to stand up and have a voice in our communities. We stand up to the 1%, and I'm very glad to be here today and welcome anybody who wants to join us. Thank you.
When I first came to the Occupy movement in Chicago, it was about 3 weeks in. Okay. When I first came to the Occupy movement, about 3 weeks in, the movement was very different then as what it has matured into. I remember a lot of anarchists came with flags that were kicked out. People told them, hey, look, we don't want these kind of people here. You know. Then I noticed gradually over time, more and more were being accepted, and now that's not the case anymore. I remember in the beginning when we were just people that were just pointing out problems. You know, we were throwing action here, throwing action there, never trying to strategically take down something. I saw so many different organizations and groups trying to co-opt the movement. You know, I saw ISO coming in and having their meetings trying to see what they could do to co-opt the movement. Then I saw during the labor the labor meeting, people were coming in trying to co-opt the labor meetings. Why? Because they saw the power that was here. They saw the capital. They saw all the people here. They wanted to use that capital for their own personal campaigns. And as I saw people getting fizzled out and a lot of hierarchy getting planted in from some of these institutions that have been around a long time, I didn't think I would see this many people here today. I thought by this time it had been so co-opted that there had been nobody left. So I am here to say I am very glad to see that there are people that weathered the hierarchy authoritarian storm that was trying to occupy the movement in the beginning. They did cause some damage though, but you all are still here. I'm glad. Keep that in mind, and hopefully we'll see you next year at the same time.
I mean, I've lost count of how many times Zuccotti Park has been retaken. I've lost count of how many times the police in New York have been overpowered. At NATO, we scared the G8 off. They ran off to Camp David like good little cowards. We scared them. And frankly, shut something big down, shut down the Port of Chicago, whether we help workers take over their workplace. Whatever it is, look forward to it. And when it comes, embrace it. Know who you're messing with, and mess with them so much harder.
We're going to get underway in just a few moments here. Just wanted to say thank you again to all of you for joining us today. I know we have some people in New York. I know some of our people are still hard at work on strike support and couldn't get away. Our teachers are with other teachers right now, keeping this strike going and making really important plans to keep defending education in this city. And so I'm really proud of everyone who wanted to be here today and couldn't be, and those of you who are here with us standing. And we came here today not only to celebrate the birthday of Occupy Wall Street, but to stand in solidarity against austerity measures. As Ram mentioned, and a couple of other people did, Rahm Emanuel shut down half of our mental health clinics. He is trying to turn around our schools, to shut them down, to commodify education in this city, and make it something that only the rich have access to. Only rich people will have a quality education if this path continues, if we don't put a stop to it now. Our young people will grow up without the opportunity to get a quality education, and if they're lucky enough to go into college, they will be enslaved by debt for the rest of their lives, because that is what the system is turning into. We are here today to reject that and to celebrate a year of resistance, a year that we can all be proud of. Now, this march is going to eventually wind its way to Jackson and LaSalle, and at that point, we're going to wait for our friends from Overpass Light Brigade to join us. And hopefully, the weather will not turn on us too terribly, and we'll be able to put on a little bit of a light show before the rain starts. So, thank you again, and you'll get instructions in just a minute on when we're stepping off.
When people thought this movement wouldn't amount to anything. And slowly, we joined them until hundreds of people would be out here at a time, drumming, singing, chanting, celebrating the community that we were building. And today, we've come home in celebration of the birthday of Occupy Wall Street. So the police seem a little unhappy with our plan to take the street. But you know what, that's quite okay. That is quite all right, because we're going to be doing some really exciting things in the coming months. There's no reason for any of you to not be on green status because it's nice. So, we are waiting here for our friends from Overpass Light Brigade, and in spite of the rain, as long as it stays light rain that is, we should be able to do this. Or had something to say now after that rousing march, to come up here and take their turn. You didn't get a chance over at Congress Plaza? Now's your moment. Tell us how you feel about the past year. Tell us what you would like to see happen in the coming year. I know I have my thoughts, but I'd like to hear yours. So, does anybody want to step on over here?
And I came down here almost a year ago. I came down here about 5 days after it got started. It feels really good to be out in the street again! Woo! And it was great to, see the movement keep going through the whole year. And then this April, I came out for the Occupy thing in the spring in April, and I marched in May Day when it was raining like this, and we didn't care. We marched through the rain, and we went downtown. We had a great rally downtown, and I have a lot of great memories. I'm sure there's a lot of great memories to come, and I'm just really excited to be out here back in the street with Occupy Chicago. Woo!
My thoughts are that while I understand Occupy Chicago, Occupy Wall Street,
is not a one-issue movement. I do think that there is one issue that underlines a lot of the problems and a lot of the issues that we're trying to address, and that is money in politics. And what I'd like to see in the coming year is us really focus on the root causes, not the branches, not just some of the niche issues, but really focus on the root causes of so many of the problems that we're out here protesting against. Money in politics, lobbyists, Citizens United, and special interests. And I think that if we can really get to those issues, then it'll solve so many of the other problems that we're out here protesting against. Thank you.
I ended up staying with me, trying to pull me into
Hey, gentlemen. Nice to meet you, Jack.
Propaganda dissolves dignity past patience until I am invisible and taste of salt. Me. The frightening muse of room 202 is this incredible, shrinking violet. I've often told my students to absorb environment and squeeze it into their writing, but I, hypocrite, cannot check my mail without earplugs and blinders now. There is always a top story that burns my cheeks ashen and I am scattered by breath, but there's no headline for me. Or for colleagues who've sold houses, who've taken on loans and Gray Street temples to brace for the fight. These headlines are about these politicians, their pockets and their pride. Articles full of doublespeak and fork-tongue hissing. The mayor and board deal students as playing cards and stacked decks, but they know nothing of the kids themselves. Her grammar jokes. His zombie impression. That he's afraid his father is never getting out of jail and his mom has breast cancer. That she is the first in her family to go to college and got a full ride. That he came out of the closet and his mother is praying for the evil to cease its possession. That she reinvents the world on the page and then stages it. These kids swirl in cutbacks, media overload, starved affections, and poetry. They swear and swagger and smile metal. The fact these kids are alive and breathing knowledge in deadly communities is more miracle than Lazarus rising, and they do. They baptize their papers in ink and wash drafts clean with red. They highlight, spotlight, moonwalk. I mean, they are teenagers. There are mad dashes down the hall, too many tardies and dress code violations. But they are green and sprouting. Dandelions and dahlias, ivy, wisteria, and willows. I am a simple gardener, tilling with words, preparing the ground. Loam, sand, silt, clay. The clay models itself into familiarity, into the expression of understanding that's unique to each child. The board wants me to see only numbers, to measure kids with percentages, to see them as payment and value added, but I am an English teacher, and numbers have never been my thing. I see that their learning is the shape of a yellow raft on a green river. We are the river dwellers. There is no salt in our water. It feels wrong to hate politicians who have never met me, but they make us feel minuscule, buzzing winged things like gnats or mosquitoes for being teachers. It makes me hunger for biblical retribution, so I will be an insect in a plague of cicadas. We will be dressed as a river of blood, a torrent of chant and noise. There is no poem for this fight. The mild-mannered will lose their voices from screaming chants, feet raw with marching hands, calloused for chalk, will be rubbed with new blisters from holding signs. If we are faceless, let us be the drought, the blight, the salt in this freshwater city, so our students will not be nameless, faceless scores in a city that hunts them for statistics. We are living the politics, not writing a poem. And I invite you, and thank you for standing with me for them.
The mom left all the children behind, distinguishable as the inmates outtakers. But for me, it's time to leave.
In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. Oh, baby, I'm away. I'm away. At the end, don't expend your time. You guys are just a turning of the sphere. like a flower. Give me power to climb to the tower, get up to the top and shout, sir. The world connected by this world, so draw a mural made up of life stories. Don't let it get boring, adoring every minute of this short life now. Just take a bow, just take a. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. Oh, you're on my way. You're on my way. They got a tour. At the end, don't expend your time, because you're just a tenant of the sphere. Hold it dear while you're here. Don't get severe, don't get severe, don't get severe. Anthropocentric, don't make me pick between humanity and ecology. Where can the connection be? Is it here? Is it me? Is it in everything? Is it in we? Make me grow like a flower, give me power to climb to the tower, get up to the top and shout, sir. The world connected by this world, so draw a mural made up of life stories. Don't let it get boring, adoring every minute of this short life now. Just take a bow, just take a. Everybody! In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. Okay, here we go. Oh, and I love the paid and I love the most. What to think all the brave niggas were done just cause one song is sung. There's always another one waiting right around the bend till this one ends and it begins second clean and it starts all over again. The weather report keeps on tossing and turning, predicting and warning and warning and warning of possible leakage of news publications and possible leakage of news TV stations and Thursday morning right next to her coffee she noticed some bleeding and heard all of coffee in the National Geographic was being depressing, but all she had wanted to know was the traffic. The rest of the notes they just said it was flooded, but we keep on burning those trees and those bars and we keep on paying those streets on the TV. We claim they will save us, but want to enslave us and sweating like demons they scream to our speakers, but we leave the sound like the silence is louder and no one's a killer and no one's a martyr. The world that has made us can no longer contain us. The prophets are silent around the world. Can't listen down. Got to squint down. Down, 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 since I haven't done anything in Spanish yet, shit, man, I gotta do that. Excuse my French. So this one is called Lamento Boliviano. Yes. I don't know if you know it. So.